Renowned Afrikaner and political analyst Professor Piet Croucamp says the Black Monday protests spearheaded by Afri-Forum were not a true reflection of concerned South Africans, but rather of people concerned about their own race group. Thousands of white farmers took to the streets across the country on Monday, protesting against farm murders in the country. For more on this and matters concerning farmers, we are now joined via Skype by Sechaba Lekabe, the Secretary of the Depaarl Community Property Association, a black farmers' body in Lichtenburg in the Northwest Province. Sechaba, thank you so much for joining us. Now, more than 100 farm workers have downed tools at Ganspan Farm outside Bochum in Limpopo, and this follows the death of one of their colleagues on the farm on Saturday. Monday, it was Black Monday protests. A lot of farmers came out. There was, disturbances on the roads, people in terms of access on the freeways. Now this and farm workers have downed tools. How serious is the problem of exploitation of farm workers by the farmers, their employers?
Lulu, thanks for having me, first and foremost. All I can say is that this is a shame, not only on the farming fraternity as a whole, but for South Africa as a whole. As far as I know, the Department of Labour is working tirelessly, doing field audits in farms where they look at how farm workers are being treated, and they look at how farmers are treating their workers and making sure that they are registered and their rights are being adhered to. Unfortunately, there are incidents where isolated farmers tend to deviate from the norm, but I'm quite confident where I'm standing that most of our farm workers and white commercial farmers, to be exact, adhere to such laws.
Now, Sechaba, how do we, basically just looking at the Black Monday protests, which took place yesterday, and there was a call for, in solidarity for Black Monday. People were supposed to dress in black, and, a lot of those calls were heeded. As a black farmer, does rampant crime affect you as well?
But, crime is a South African pandemic, so to speak. And as such, it cannot be treated as something that is affecting only one race, creed, or color. It affects all of us as South Africans, and it needs a cohesive solution. I speak knowing very well that, for instance, my office was burglared on Sunday. And as farmers, this is the season where we work almost 24 hours. Largely, none of us were, as staff members, were in the office. So yes, crime does affect us. And mostly crime affects farmers based on the isolation of farms. Farms are not based in suburban areas per se, so they become easy targets. It's not. I cannot agree with the fact that one race is targeted over the other.
Sechaba, you mentioned something that's very key, and we saw some stats that were released that I think for every 100,000 farmers or 100,000 people, 3 farmers are more likely to be killed 3 times than ordinary people. And you mentioned something which is key, which is the isolation or the distance between neighbors with regards to farmland. How do we ensure safety of all farmers, including farm workers, just bearing in mind that with farms and, the land sizes, there's quite a distance between neighbors? How does the South Africa as a whole or the police service also get involved in ensuring that farmers and farm workers are safe on their properties?
I believe the key word is cooperation here. And, moving forward, that should be the operative word. where farmers cooperate with the police, and police try by all means, knowing that they are sitting with a resource situation, they try by all means to respond in time, and at the same time they respond, and reach out to the private security sector. Once we are clustered under one umbrella, I'm definitely sure that a solution will come about.
Sechaba, in terms of, we're speaking now of the issue of crime. On Saturday, a farm worker was killed in Limpopo. Farmers basically downed tools on that particular farm. What really needs to be done? Give us pointers as to exactly what needs to happen going forward. If somebody were to approach farmers and farm workers, who probably, do they go through the same issues in terms of crimes? Are they targeted? What needs to happen? What solutions do you have in place or that you can bring forward to say, this is what we have in mind? Can we take these solutions and try to work through them?
I believe I cannot. It's not a one jacket fits all situation, but it's a situation where all need to sit under one roof. The issue is that you find that many farmers, when you speak to white commercial farmers, I speak knowing for a fact that last week Thursday we had a meeting at the farm with 4 of our white commercial farm stakeholders. The issue that we're having are common, and it's crime-based issues more than anything. And once we sit under one roof, we would be able to come about with a solution, together with the government, together with the private security sector and all of that. We should be able to get a solution, one way or the other. It might take some time, but definitely I'm confident that as South Africans, we are resilient enough to come with a solution.
Yesterday, during Black Monday protests, we saw many of the old flags being carried by a lot of the farmers who were out dressed in black in protests of crimes against farmers and the murders against farmers. Is racism an issue or a problem on farms, especially in rural South Africa?
I'd rather shy away from generalizing the issue. Honestly speaking, I'd rather shy away from generalizing the issue because you have incidents where a stance of goodwill is shown, and you have incidents where there's just negativity. I stand knowing very well that I've known a recently passed on good friend of mine who was a commercial farmer, Mr. Dion Malan, who was quite a liberal farmer, and quite a good farmer, and treated his workers very well. And in as much as I can say that we've had incidences where farm workers would rather sit at the back of a bakkie, because they're afraid of a barking dog and a pistol. So generalizing the whole issue would deter us from facing the actual fact that the issue here is not about race. It's not about creed or any color. The issue is crime in the first place. The second issue would be the plight of the farm workers, and how do we get into a situation where they are protected enough.
Sechaba,
they find themselves, yes?
Sorry to come in there, but just very quickly, is there enough trust between farmers and farm workers to build a better future together?
Let me put it in this way. Just as a follow-up to my last answer, I'm afraid of generalizing. Let me use a term, an Afrikaner term, where you can find a farmer and a farm worker, being labeled as a klip and deadly. And you can find a farm worker and a farmer being very distant from one another in terms of their interaction. So it's not a one jacket fits all. One cannot generalize South Africa. We are a very unique and versatile nation, and our problems themselves are quite unique. So as I said, it just needs a forum where people sit under one roof and we find the common issues and we work towards the common solutions. And I'm confident that is possible. Definitely.
Sechaba, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to leave it there for now. That was Sechaba Lekabe, the secretary of the Depaarl Community Property Association, a black farmers' body in Lichtenburg in the Northwest Province, joining us via Skype. Here's more details about our unemployment